Welcome back to the Fitness League, helping busy humans build strong bodies, sharper minds, and better lives. Join us each week as we cut through the noise, challenge the norms, and empower you to train smarter and live stronger. Lindsay asks, I know you've talked about this before, but can you discuss some ideas on how to stay on track on vacation? I wanted to bring my dumbbells, adjustable dumbbells, on vacation to the beach, but my husband thinks I'm crazy and says we can go for walks every day and we'll paddleboard a few times, and that it's okay to take time away from the gym strength training. But this makes me feel anxious just even thinking about it. Thoughts on this? We'll be diving into this and many more of your questions on today's Q&A episode.
That's a good one. We haven't talked about that one in a while, I feel like.
That was a great one, Lindsay.
I would say this is a common struggle from like a lot of our clients over the years. And I think it's very common to also have the feelings of anxiety and like, you know, you work so hard to get consistent and then you plan a vacation and, you know, something comes up and it feels like that's taking away all of your consistency. But I want to reframe things here a little bit for you, Lindsay. And the truth of the matter is, you know, when you think about why we're working out, why are we showing up to the gym every day? Why are we taking care of our health? It's so that we can go and enjoy these things. We can go and enjoy a vacation with our husband. We can go and do all of the things that we love to do because our body is able to do it because of all the work that we're putting in with our nutrition, with our training. So reframe it that way first and foremost. But you already, like, it sounds like you're doing things great. You're bringing your adjustable dumbbell, or you said you wanted to, but your husband thinks you're crazy. Who cares what he thinks? If it's going to make you feel better to bring those and do a little bit of something in the morning, maybe before he wakes up or before you guys go off, I think that's great. But at the same time, you don't have to do that either. So it really comes down, in my opinion, to doing what is going to make you feel your best on vacation. I know we've talked about this in an episode way long ago before we merged and brought Joelle on. You know, we used to talk all the time about how we would try to do our best to keep, you know, the foundational habits consistent while on vacation too, because that does make us feel good. So I would say pick like your core foundational things that you focus on that you know really contribute to you feeling your best, whether you're on vacation or not. Stick with those small habits and then let some things go too. So you're not at the gym every day. It's not going to change much in the matter of a week, even 2 weeks.
This might ruffle some feathers, but it is okay to bring some equipment on vacation. That might be triggering for some, thinking that there's no time off. It doesn't mean you need to do it, but if it's going to make you feel good, I'm all about it. And we've done the same thing. We brought the adjustable dumbbells, we brought the kettlebells, we brought bands, and we've brought different variations of those things depending on where we're going, if we're driving, if we're flying. The bottom line is that when you're away, a lot of times we feel pretty shitty. Like if we travel far, the further we go, the worse I feel. Just being on a plane is one of the worst things for my gut and everything else that takes place after that. So if we are flying and we can bring some bands, or we just write a body weight program for the week, go for a quick jog, do some air squats, some push-ups, find something to do some pull-ups on. Those are the things that help me regulate. And by doing that, I have so much more fun on vacation because I don't feel like crap. I'm not as run down. I'm recovering better. Energy is higher. I'm digesting food better. That's one of the biggest things for me that I struggle with is when we're away, my gut is off immediately, especially if we're not cooking our own foods. So getting that additional movement in, getting in an early workout before the kids get up, it does help me in so many different ways. So I don't have any problem with you bringing the equipment. That does not mean you need to. Like your husband's plan works just as well. You're going to be active. You're going to be out on the waves. You're going to be moving your body. You're going to be doing all these things. And maybe you can just plan a morning yoga flow if you need a recovery week. So the anxiety doesn't need to be there. It's absolutely not going to wreck your progress, but there is nothing wrong. There is nothing, crazy about bringing any equipment, whatever that looks like, on vacation.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just a preference call, similar to what Josh said. I mean, I know us three kind of function similarly, where even if we go away, we're still wanting to keep as much of our non-negotiables in another place as possible. If you end up wanting to treat this week like a deload and you're feeling really fatigued and your body's feeling run down and you want that additional few days away from strength training, then own that. I know we've talked about this before. Whatever you choose, just own that. If you decide I'm going to make an effort to do 2 workouts, or I'm going to just deload this week and take off from strength training, then own that. If you're going to train, own that. But I think that it's helpful to go in knowing what you want and knowing whatever the path of least resistance is for you.
All right, Chief, take over questions.
All right, Madison asked us, what are your thoughts on splitting up a workout? So, for example, she likes to do her cardio on her leg days, and one of her leg days she does her cardio and like one main compound lift together, and then she comes back later in the day to finish her other lifts, like her accessory lifts. What are your guys' thoughts on that? She says the reason why she does this is it's a long story, but it's better for her schedule to do cardio in the morning, and she likes to have that main lift done before anything else.
I am unbothered. If that's what helps you get all of your workout in and gets your training and your lifting and your cardio in, and that works for you and your schedule, by all means.
After working with thousands of people, I can confidently say, and this is with our team, not just me personally, but with our team, I can confidently say every person is entirely individual. So if this works for you and you're progressing over time and you're not run down, you're not tired throughout the rest of the day, then you've got a winning system. That's not going to work for everybody. Some people are going to dread the second chunk of that. Some people are going to be way too tired to actually efficiently work out in that second portion. But if you are doing that and you're fueling optimally, no problem with it.
Chelsea asked us how to combat muscle and endurance reconditioning from a neural circuit dizziness issue. Trying to get back into it, but I'm constantly feeling discouraged and uncomfortable when I experience extreme muscle fatigue after doing anything exertional or anytime I get in over 10K steps.
I don't know much specifically about neural circuit dizziness. Just based on what that sounds like, come up with a few things. I would make sure there's a few things I would take inventory of when it comes to feeling that extreme muscle fatigue or noticing that maybe dizziness when you are having those high exertion levels, maybe in hot weather, maybe like you said, over 10,000 steps. A few things I would take inventory of. 1, are we eating enough? 2, is our blood sugar potentially dropping during a workout and we perhaps need more carbs, even intra-workout carbs, if not more pre-workout carbs? And 3, electrolyte status. I myself am fairly prone to dizziness and feeling kind of fainty, just I've been that way as long as I could remember with exercise. But for me, it usually is a result of one of those 3 things. Like, did I have enough carbs pre-workout? I keep extra like go-go squeeze applesauce packets with me in my gym bag because I know that my blood sugar sometimes drops during a workout. And then I feel that muscle fatigue and dizziness. If I'm not having enough salt, sodium, electrolytes, same thing happens to me. So I don't know if this necessarily applies to this. I don't know if this is an actual diagnosis, but I would definitely think about taking inventory of those 3 things during your training.
Let me say this loud and clear too, Joelle. So many women will hear the words, make sure you're eating enough, and think that they're eating enough, and enough for them might be 1,500 calories, 1,800 calories, even 2,000 calories might not be enough for some very active women out there. So when Joelle says, make sure you're eating enough, if what you're currently eating is not enough for you and is not serving you, and you constantly feel that fatigue and just you don't feel energized, you might need more food, and that is okay. So, this is a message that we both have preached for years now, is that more food is not bad. And I think with the whole skinny talk thing going down, with a lot of those trends with nutrition and just the Pilates girls and all that stuff, I'm not against Pilates. My mom is a Pilates teacher, by the way. But just like the trendy stuff coming back around, less is more is the message out there for a lot of women still. And we just want to remind you that less is not always more. Oftentimes more is more, especially if you're very active. So I just wanted to throw that in there too. All right, Miranda asked us, she said she's looking at getting some of Legion's protein powder. What's the difference between them, all of them? So there's so many different kinds. I think they have a whey isolate, which is the kind that we use. I think we use the whey isolate. There's a casein, and then obviously the vegan one, the plant-based one. So how do we help someone pick a protein powder that is best for them?
That's a great question. One, first and foremost, is going to be how well you tolerate a specific type of protein from a gut health and digestive standpoint. I do fine with whey. I do better with whey isolate. Sometimes if I have a whey concentrate, that will give me a stomach ache. If I do a casein protein, my stomach is wrecked. And Josh, you may notice something similar with either like plant protein versus whey. The Whey Plus from Legion is a whey isolate, and the isolate essentially means it's a more pure form of of that whey. They basically strip the fat, strip the lactose, strip the sugar from it. So it's basically just protein. There's not really any other fats or carbohydrates, and it's lactose free for anyone that might have lactose issues. So I would say digestibility first and foremost. From a research standpoint, I do like whey the best. Obviously, if you are dairy free for any reason, then that eliminates whey, that eliminates casein, and then you're looking at egg and plant proteins. But that would be my first follow-up.
Yeah, the casein is something I used to utilize in college. It's a slower digesting protein. They marketed it as the thing you want to take right before bed. But now, obviously, my stance on being done digesting before bed completely eliminates my need for casein. Yeah, it's definitely going to be slower digesting, so it could be, for most of us, a little more digestive trouble inducing, for lack of a better term. But at the end of the day, like if you're eating quality protein and hitting your specific needs throughout the day, there's not a whole lot of difference, assuming what you are eating is a complete protein. Hey guys, real quick, if you've been listening and thinking, I need to start doing something for my health, but I don't have time for a full program, that is literally why we built the SDE Method app. It's a fitness app made for real people with real lives. Busy parents, working professionals, anyone juggling 100 things. You can get in, get a smart, effective workout in around 30 minutes, some even closer to 20 minutes, and log out knowing you made progress. You can finally take the guessing out of your workouts. We have workouts designed to be done at the gym or at home, and you get access to all of them when you sign up. As life phases change, you can pick a new one that aligns better with what you have going on right now. And one more thing, we are also qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. So just hit the app link in the show notes, start where you are, we'll help with the rest. All right, let's get back to the show.
Lindsay asked us, in case you wanted to do another trolling episode, she would love to know our thoughts on navel pulling. It randomly pops up on her feed, and I think to myself, ... really? Mind blown. So I did have to Google this, Lindsay. You know, you think you've heard it all, and then you find some new things, and you're like, what, why are we doing these things? There is, I mean, there's no science backing this at the moment. So if you guys are listening and you're like, what the heck are you talking about? What is navel pulling? It's basically people put like castor oil or some type of oil in a pack that's like taped to their belly button. And the whole idea is that it can help improve your digestion, balance your hormones, clear your skin, boost fertility. There's no claims that are like these are all just claims. Like there's no backing to any of these. I think it is more of like a alternative health practice. So I think you kind of just got to take it for what it is. I mean, is it harmful? Probably not harmful to put castor oil in a pack on your belly button. Not something I would do.
I've seen people post about castor oil packs and singing their praises. Never tried it. Again, if something's not going to hurt you, I don't have a problem with someone trying something, but
probably not going to solve all your problems.
Yeah.
You got nothing on that one, Josh?
I think you guys covered that pretty well. I'll let it go.
Okay, we did this one. Brooke said, how accurate do you feel wearables like Garmin or Apple Watch are for your step count? She's been wearing her Garmin Venue 2S, and she's confused by the step count lately. So when she runs 2 miles, she gets about 3,700 steps. 2.5 miles is about 3,900 steps, and 2.8 miles is about 4,100 steps. She doesn't feel like her stride changes that much either. So thoughts on that first before we get to her second question.
They're all going to be a little different. Like even the metrics themselves, not even just the step count, they're all going to be a little bit different. So I think whatever it is that you're using, we're just going to use that as a baseline. So don't compare your Apple to Garmin. Don't compare your Whoop to your Aura. Not that everyone's wearing all 5 of these things, that or 100 at this
Alessandra.
point. I took off my Aura ring. I'm not wearing that anymore. So I only have 2 right now. But
I feel naked without that ring now.
It does feel weird.
That's why I'm playing with my toes. Every time I move now, I feel self-conscious.
We're going to post that toe pic.
These trolls take it playing with my feet.
Before we started recording, we're having a serious conversation between the 3 of us, and I looked down at Josh's bare feet just to explain it to you guys. His second toe, not his big toe, the one next to it, was the only toe that was tucked under. So it looked like he lost his toe. And I was like, at first I like gasped because I'm like, oh my gosh, his toe's not there. Does he know it's not there?
What's happening?
Then
you just looked at him and went, is your toe missing?
I thought she was talking to you.
Would she see my feet?
I can't
I was
even
very
see her
confused.
toes. But he apparently just chills with the second toe curled under. So the more
Just
you know.
stretching my toes out.
No, not toes. Toe.
Just your toe.
One.
Toe.
That toe specifically.
One toe being stretched out.
But anywho, Brooke, yeah, Garmin is going to track, I believe, if you're like tracking a run, it's using GPS to track, and it's probably estimating your steps based on like the distance you're going, I would assume. My Whoop, for example, we found out the other day when Josh was pushing the stroller, he wasn't getting his steps counted because he was holding the stroller. So like that uses more of like a pedometer kind of effect of like the arm swing to track. It depends what the device is using to track it, but I agree with Josh. Like, pick one, stick with that to track your steps. Nothing is going to be 100% accurate anyway, and don't like stress out about it, but use the trend and like improve it from there. She had a body appearance question also. She said, I understand we don't work out for just the aesthetics, but some of my shirts have felt tighter on my arms and it's uncomfortable for me. I'm pretty lean. I don't feel I have weight or really body fat to lose, but my arms just feel bigger with no more definition to them and I don't love it. Any tips? Am I doing something wrong? I haven't had this before with lifting. I'm 11 months postpartum with baby 4 and I'm still breastfeeding, if that matters at all.
I would say a few potential things. When we start lifting weights more consistently, it is very common that our clothes will fit differently. You mentioned that some of your clothes are fitting tighter, that's feeling uncomfortable. I found that once I started to lift weights and gain more muscle, yes, your clothes start to fit differently. You also might buy different types of clothes. Alessandra, I don't know if you've experienced this as well, where things either like because of your lats, you don't like how a sports bra fits, or like you don't like how a specific neckline looks on you because of like how your shoulders look or something like that. And you might have to take inventory of like the clothes that you felt you used to be comfortable and look different on you now because like your body is shaped a little bit differently. That could be a result of lifting. I know she mentioned she's postpartum too. So for me, I felt like after lifting and also after kids, I bought different types of clothes that I felt like just looked better on my body. And I think sometimes it could be mentally challenging to like come to terms with that because you're like, this used to fit. Why doesn't this look good on me anymore? Why doesn't this fit like it used to? And it's not a piece of clothing's job to fit you all the time. Like we have to adjust accordingly. If our body changes, it's very normal that our clothes might change too or need to change. So that's kind of what I have to say about that.
Yeah, and I know there was another comment like from another mom saying that she did notice that with her first baby, her body just held on to more upper body fat while breastfeeding, and then when she stops breastfeeding, it kind of just she noticed it come down a little bit. I hear that often too. I don't think that's the case with every person. I know for me that's not the case, but I think, you know, obviously we're all individuals. Could that be playing a role? Maybe are you eating more because you're breastfeeding and you have higher calorie needs, and maybe your body is hanging on to a little bit more body fat? Maybe did you lose some muscle mass while pregnant and early postpartum and that just hasn't recouped yet, and that is impacting body composition? Sure. Hard to say because we don't obviously know, like we don't have a before and after photo and all your data and all that stuff, but these are things that could potentially happen. It's very common for those things to happen during this season. So I agree with everything Joelle said, and then just keep that in mind too. But lift the weights, maybe dial in nutrition, not necessarily fat loss, but just make sure you're consuming enough protein and all that, and buy some clothes that you do feel really confident and empowered in.
I think we missed Ketsia, so I'm going to jump in here. I'm curious whether you've considered adding more of a community aspect to the app. I'm not always on Facebook and would love to connect with women, mamas who are at a similar stage of life and who are also building consistent lifestyle habits and routines. My husband works out, but he's not open to following a program, and sometimes I miss the motivation that comes with the community, even if it's not in person. Yes.
Yes, period. No further questions.
Exclamation point, pause, another period, exclamation point.
I hope you're catching our drift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I scrolled up, so let's come back. Okay, Jamie said, is the Oura Ring comfortable when you lift heavy with the barbell? So for example, deadlifts, does it pinch your fingers at all? I always took mine off for deadlifts specifically. That was the only lift that I just hated how it felt.
Yeah, I don't like how that feels.
I wore it for everything else though, but for deadlifts, I usually just take it off and put it next to my water bottle.
I wore it with deadlifts and it was fine.
I wear it for
So just
deadlifts,
try
but I
to-
regret it every time.
So why don't you just take it off?
I don't remember until I finish a set and my finger hurts. And then I'm like, oh, oops.
It's not even the actual ring. It's like the little prongs that are like the two little
The three like
inside
bulges
things.
in it. Yeah.
That's what bothers me. And then she said, "Why do you feel like BCAAs are a waste of money? My husband takes a multivitamin BCAA supplement every morning. No idea if it's doing anything for him though."
If you're taking in enough protein throughout the day, it's just useless to take BCAAs. If anything, and this is a very soft, if anything, you could take EAAs, so just the essential amino acids, which are going to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. If you had a big gap between meals and you wanted to just maximize that. But yeah, we were sold a bucket of chum with the BCA thing that we spent so much money on many years ago.
I remember being on that train. Yeah, BCAAs, they don't have the full amino acid profile. Like there are 9 essential amino acids. It has 3. So it's not actually going to even stimulate muscle protein synthesis the way we would want it to. So I would say just either EAAs or straight protein, or just making sure he's eating enough protein is going to do significantly more than a BCAA supplement.
Amanda said, last Q&A, Joelle alluded some possible distaste for Mark Hyman. I followed him for a year or so now. Should I not be? More deets, please.
So I'm never going to tell you necessarily to unfollow anyone, but I think it's helpful to take things with a grain of salt that people say. He's a little extremist for my liking. And there's a few things that I don't particularly love. I think there's a little bit of pseudoscience, a lot of unproven claims in some of the stuff that he talks about. And you guys know, I mean, Josh and I both have walked some kind of line with like functional medicine and doing things outside of the more conventional way of doing things. So it's not even like a major knock on functional medicine. I think there's like a really big pushing of detoxes and cleanses, and your inability for your body to detoxify itself, and then that paired with here's what I don't like. If I had to give it a more hopefully succinct summary, okay, when someone presents you with a problem and acts like they know this secret to a problem that you have, and then they monetize the answer to that secret, i.e., his supplement line. So let me sell you on this pseudoscience issue that you have, and then encourage you to buy my pseudoscience supplement that will fix your pseudoscience problem. That to me is icky and kind of grifty. And I think he also gives a lot of overly simplified and alarmist nutrition advice about toxins and poisons and very broad generalistic statements about food, nutrition, gluten, dairy, etc. And that just, for me, that comes with a lot of skepticism. And when I see people monetizing the fear mongering, that's like just where you lose me. When you instill fear in people and then sell them on the thing that you feared, like that you instilled the fear on, that just feels icky to me. So he just loses me there. That doesn't mean everything he says is false, or like, it just means he's not for me personally.
And just kind of take everybody you follow with a grain of salt like that. You're never going to love 100% of everything that people post. If you can take little bits and pieces from individuals and utilize them in a way that makes sense for your life while still keeping just a perspective that not everybody is in this for the right reasons, then you will be fine. Ellie wants to know more about your cold plunge experience, Joelle. She said, did they tie up your children and ask for ransom if you didn't do it? I love your competitive spirit.
Well, we covered this whole thing yesterday. On yesterday's episode, we did a little recap. The long and the short of it is I have a lot of spite running through my veins, and I will do just about anything out of spite to prove someone else wrong. And in this case, it was my husband.
Samantha said, what are the reasons behind Josh's passion for pro homeschooling?
Let me be clear about something. I don't dislike the school system we're in. It's the one I went through. We're in a good area. We're blessed to be in this area. A lot of good people. So it's at this point, it's not even so much about I wish they would do something differently. We're not getting the weird stuff that was being talked about, I think circa last year. None of that craziness is up in here. It's just the community won't allow for that. We keep our heads on straight and accept everybody for the way that they are without trying to push anything else. So that's not even my issue. It's more so the way we set up our lives, the way we've built everything from before kids was so that we could spend as much time with our kids as possible. They weren't raised in daycare. We got to just be with them. And it is, I don't want to say a disturbing amount of time, but it kind of is. It's a terrifying amount of time. It's an unreasonable amount of time that we spend away from our kids. The moment they start going to school regularly, we see them before they go to school. So we get breakfast, then they're gone all day, which is when we're typically at work anyway, but that's not how we built our lives. And then we get them dinner time, hang out for a little bit, back to bed. And is that cycle for 9 months. We get to do what we want on the summer vacations. But if we have spent all this time, energy, effort, resources to set up our lives the way that they are, why would we not fully capitalize on that and raise our kids ourselves? To kind of go a little bit further on that tangent, your kid comes home, says something, does something. Where'd you learn that? Who taught you that? One of 1,000 kids they went to school with that day. Or a teacher who's having a bad day and let something slip, or different mannerisms, things we're picking up that we don't personally align with. Well, we have handed off the concept of parenting to everyone else that they're with for the majority of their day. We are now a minority factor in their time, in their development, because they are away from us most of the day and most of their lives. And I forget the exact stat. I've thrown this out a couple episodes here recently, but something like we spent 70% of our time with our kids by the time they're 10, which is just really, really disheartening. And as many of you who have listened for a while or have gotten to know me in person or in some capacity through this online space, I don't just settle for anything. I don't settle for the norms. This is normal. This is just the way it is. I don't accept those things. I literally don't. I've been that stubborn since I was a kid. You got to give me an answer or I'm going to find another way through it, because I don't accept that. It's not good enough, and we're going to find another way through it. And that's kind of how I'm viewing homeschool right now. I have no idea how we would make it work, but it's on my radar because I know there's a better way. And again, for those teachers out there, like those of you who are doing the amazing thing of teaching kids and giving your all and just doing it for the right reasons, being passionate about what you do. It's not just a job. I respect the hell out of that, and I appreciate that, and the world needs you. I still want to be the one who raises my kids. I want to be the one they answer to when something, not that they wouldn't answer me when things go wrong and they don't do the right thing, but I want to be instilling the things that I want them to do, the characteristics, building that character over the long term, rather than who they ride on the school bus with. And are they going to fall into the wrong crowds? These things aren't problems when we're the ones spending 90% of our time with them. And that's not to shield them. That's not to make sure they don't learn lessons on their own. But you fall into the wrong crowd because that is the crowd you spend most of your time with. When this, and I'm circling my hands here in this room, is the group that you're spending most of your time with, you are picking up on our values, on our characteristics, on the way that we view the world. And that might sound crazy to some people. It might sound like nonsense to some people. I don't care. You do you, I'll do me. That's how I feel about it. Again, I appreciate the system that we are in locally. So it's not even a school problem. It's not an area problem. It's just a set of values that I hold very near and dear to my heart.
The only thing that I will say, like, as much as we're like, I don't know how I'd be able to do this, it does, I don't know what the word is. I guess it's refreshing to hear from other homeschool moms that it's way less time than you think it is. So it's not like they're spending 8 to 3 doing schoolwork all day and you have to homeschool them for that entire time. Like, a lot of that time at school is spent at lunch and recess and specials, and they go out and do things and like moving from classroom to classroom. Like, it's not 8 straight hours of teaching your kid. So it is refreshing in a sense to consider that, but we haven't made a decision obviously yet, and it's something we're still contemplating / discussing / balancing, figuring out if we can balance, whether that's this year or in the future. But
And no, we don't have degrees in teaching. So it's like, okay, well, is there a drop off in education? The basic things of life and the basic things that you would learn in school from like that would be applicable to life, we shouldn't have any problem portraying. But we can also spin this lesson plan in more skills that they will utilize in all areas of life. What did you learn about leadership in school? What did you learn about life skills? What did you learn about taxes, paying your bills, investing, finance, building a future, building a business? We are basically trained to follow instructions, to learn to be obedient. If you have a great teacher, you're going to learn to think for yourself and to think outside the box. For those who are going through the motions, you're not going to pick those things up. So as far as revamping the curriculum, and I know that there are plenty of teachers who don't agree with the way things are run. There's nothing they can do about it. Well, when it's homeschool, guess who can do something about it? Kids aren't always set up to succeed in the school system and the testing system. I think whether it's homeschool or another format, there has to be options B and C to really show these kids you have more potential than you've alluded to. You failed, you got D's, you don't test great, you don't sit still for very long, and you've been told something's wrong with you because of that. Like, what message does that send? What level of confidence are they going to have the rest of their lives? But this is the only way right now, essentially. It's the only mainstream way, is you do it this way. If you don't fit into this box, if you're a square peg and we try to stuff you into a round hole and you don't fit, then you're an outsider and you aren't going to be successful, is what we're telling them over and over and over on a daily basis. So they get beaten down and diminished when they're just waiting to thrive in another way.
I was somebody who I was average, and my 5th grade teacher said that. But I was an average test taker. I was an average student after, I would say, like through middle school and high school. High school mostly because I got in with the wrong crowd at that point and was all about the partying. Even in middle school, like my grades were B's and C's, like just average grades. And I remember my late grandfather, we were driving in the car somewhere. He was driving me to dance or something. And I remember him telling me, you will love school and thrive so much more when you get to college and you're learning about things that you actually want to learn about. And he kind of like took that pressure off of me. And I get to college, I find exercise science, I'm all of a sudden an A student. And that will always kind of stick with me too. So again, it's not that I'm a public school hater or I'm against how schools are run, but I totally agree with what you said, Josh, is that there's different ways that people learn and students will excel in different areas. And I feel like it is very standardized and just a lot of it is this way. You have to learn it and do it this way or you're screwed. So that's just my personal experience too. Okay. Samantha also asked, does Alessandra have an opinion yet on how she likes her Whoop over her other wearables?
Listen, if you're tired of the all or nothing cycles, the diet starts Monday, the I know what to do, I'm just not doing it feeling, we should probably talk. Our one-on-one online coaching isn't just about workouts and meal plans. It's about building something that actually fits your life. No cookie cutter templates, no guilt, just real coaching and real results. Plus, we've got a pretty big team, so we can even pair you with an expert who actually understands your lifestyle because they've gone through it too. If that sounds like what you've been missing, check out the link in the show notes to apply for coaching. Then we'll send you the link to book a free, no obligation consult call with our team. There are no hard closes. We won't even take your credit card over the phone. You'll get the details to sign up on your own time. And more good news, we are in fact qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. One last thing, we even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Spots are limited, so apply today. All right, let's get back to the show.
I love it. It's been, like a little over a week, I think. Maybe a week today.
Well, it was on our anniversary, so
Yeah,
what day was
a
that?
week. Tuesday. I don't know. I can't remember yesterday or know what's happening tomorrow. I really do love it. I think it gives me all of the data that I need it to. Sorry, I'm choking after you made that comment. Agree with what you said, Josh, yesterday, that the user interface of the app isn't my favorite. Like, there's just a lot of data and it can be kind of tricky to find certain things, but it's all there. And I think as I get used to it, I will appreciate it more. It's very accurate, I find, as far as my recovery, my sleep, kind of aligned with Aura. I did take my Aura ring off, as I mentioned, so I'm not wearing that anymore, but I did wear both of them until a couple days ago, and everything was pretty close as far as the data went, but I don't mind sleeping in it. I don't mind having it on my wrist. It's nice to see more of like the performance metrics, like just with running and everything that I do there. So I will definitely give like an official update recap for you guys after about a month or so, but I do really love it and we'll be keeping the Whoop. Laura said, I would love to hear your thoughts and recommendations around intra-workout fueling as you increase duration and distance. So for example, timing, amount, etc. Thank you. I'm assuming you mean for something like a run or endurance training. For strength, we really don't need to eat mid-workout, and that's something that a lot of powerlifters may argue with you on, unless your workouts are taking like 2 hours plus, which a lot of powerlifters do. To each their own. But for something like running or endurance, you really don't need it until the like 1 hour, 90-minute mark.
60 to 90-minute range.
Everybody's going to be a little different too as far as how much you need, because it depends. Like, are you waking up and running first thing and you didn't have anything else to eat for the day? Are you running later in the day? You've had a few meals already. You have lots of carbs in you already. So it kind of just depends on when it's happening, I guess. But I would say general rule of thumb, 60 to 90 minutes. How much? I would say at least 15 grams of carbs, upwards of 30 to 40 grams, depending on, again, how far you're going, what makes you feel your best, what your stomach can handle. Some people have very sensitive stomachs and GI issues when they're doing any sort of intense workout or long duration exercise. So finding a type that sits well with you, that doesn't make your stomach upset and gives you that fuel is key. But yeah, it's not something you need to worry about until you hit that 60 to 90 minute mark.
Yeah, I typically like the 30 grams per hour rule of thumb. If you're in that 60 to 90 minute range, could be something like a gel or a sports drink. Like Alessandra said, your stomach may or may not tolerate certain things. So you might have to trial and error a few different carb sources. If you start getting up into like the 90 to 150 minute range, you very likely would need more in the like 30 to 60 grams per hour range. Again, depending on intensity and duration. And then 2.5+ hours, like if you're doing a marathon or like Ironman or something crazy like that, then you could even bump up in like the 60 to 90 gram per hour range, which is crazy when you think about like having 90 grams of carbs an hour in like gel or just glucose. Mm-hmm. That to me, that would feel so awful. But like, yeah, if you're under 60 minutes, you likely don't need to worry about an intra workout at all.
Danielle is following up from her step question last week. Thanks, Danielle. So yes, she has a 2.5-year-old. She's 24 weeks pregnant with her second. She wears a Garmin Phoenix Daily, which is a great watch. That was the one that I used to have. She said, I don't think it tracks steps while I'm pushing the stroller or shopping cart, which is super annoying. Still trying to increase my steps. So it's likely not going to track it unless you go to log like a walk or a run. So it will use GPS if you're like logging an actual activity. But if you're just pushing the stroller and kind of letting it chill on your wrist and it's not logging anything, it's probably not tracking those steps, which I know is confusing, but I think it's just like tapping into that GPS when you start the workout. So try to start like a walk or a run, even if it's short. And if you're pushing the shopping cart, I guess you can count that as a walk. I don't know. But that should help it be a little bit more accurate. That's just my take. But yeah, I think we gave you some other tips last week, which I think still stand with this additional info. You guys have anything else? And then she also wanted to hear about Mark Hyman and Gary Brecka too. So I hope that clarified before. That was the last one I think I have. Let me refresh just to make sure.
I think that was everyone.
All right, homies, where can they find you?
I'm at Alessandra Skutnik.
At Joelle Samantha.
At Josh Skutnik.
And everything else you need is linked in the show notes.